The Spring 2025 Hytale development update is finally here, and it's massive. This is the first blog post in a while that feels like the original blogs from 2019. We've got brand new tech reveals, in-game systems being brought online for playtesting, and a fresh look at one of Orbis's most iconic factions, including a certain long-teased character who's been hiding in the shadows since 2023. But before we dive into all of that, let's just rewind a bit. A few days before this blog post went live, John Hendricks, the game director of Hytale, posted a picture of branches. No caption, no context. Then, right after this, he posted two more images, showcasing Mig, the pig that we got to meet from the summer 2024 blog post, well and alive in the new engine. And now we know why. Because those images were the calm before the storm. The blog makes it clear 2025 is the year of internal playtesting. After years of rebuilding the engine and redesigning major systems, the team is finally playing the game again. Not legacy Hytale, new Hytale, built from the ground up using their new tools in their new engine. That's a huge shift from where things have been. They've got core systems like movement, block placement, crafting, and combat, all working in engine. Nothing flashy about it, just actual gameplay coming together in a stable environment. That's the kind of foundation you need before anything can move toward public hands. There's also a quick look at the visual side of things, with day to night transitions and updated shadows, trees, and skyboxes. It's still too early, but it already feels closer to what people imagined back in 2018. My first thought when I looked at this gameplay was, wait, this actually looks like Hytale, which is not something I could confidently say about the previous footage. And that's kind of the point. This isn't a reveal meant to impress. It's meant to reassure that the systems are functional, that the game is playable, and that progress isn't theoretical anymore. And then they talk about creative mode. For the first time, we're seeing what world customization might look like in the finished game. There's support for all the core features you'd expect, like selecting blocks, copy-pasting structures, undoing changes, but also more ambitious stuff in the pipeline. Physics-affected blocks, logic systems, even testing those tools with external creators later this year. That's not something you tease if things aren't finally coming online. Then they'd casually drop one of the biggest changes for Hytale. Zones are gone. That probably sounds wild to anyone who's been following Hytale since the beginning, because for years, zones were one of the core pillars of the game. Every piece of concept art, every biome, every faction, everything revolved around the zone system. Zone 1 was your grasslands, Kweebec territory. Zone 2, Desert and Farrens. Zone 3, Winter and Outlanders. It was how the entire world was structured. It shaped the lore, the visuals, and the progression. But now that system's been scrapped. In its place, regions. They're smaller, more contained, and more thematically focused. Each region is made up of just a few biomes, but everything inside of them is built around a shared gameplay identity. That means encounters, terrains, resources, creatures, and even storylines are more directly connected. The idea is to make every region feel purposeful. No filler, no empty space. And while they're smaller than zones, there will be more of them. That's the trade-off. Less wasted space and more unique locations. It's a huge shift in how the world of Orbis is designed. First, the faction rework, of which there are some big ones coming up in this video, and now the entire world we play on. The team isn't afraid to rethink even the most foundational parts of the game, if it means making the experience better. The first region they're building is called the Central Grasslands. It pulls from what used to be Zone 1, so expect familiar terrain, plains, sparse trees, rocky hills. It's resource-rich, grounded, and likely the starting point for many players. Beyond the Central Grasslands, they are developing regions that draw on aspects from the old Zones 1, 2, 3, and so on. The blog brings us a closer look at the Kweebec life cycle, and this time the full picture is finally coming together. We start with seedlings. These tiny, round-headed sprouts are the very first stage of life. You can see the care in how they're designed, each one a little different, some with a curled leaf, others with split stems or broad green fans. Their eyes are large, expressive, and gentle. Even at this early stage, there's a softness to them that communicates their nature. These aren't fighters or workers, they're just cute babies. Then we move on to young Kweebecs. It's the Kweebec you and I both think of when the name appears. There's a clear shift from innocence to curiosity here. They wear small wooden belts and modest wraps, but it's the leaves on their heads that really set them apart. Each one is growing into their own identity. Some sprout long, leafy bangs, others develop branches, and one has a bright yellow flower blooming proudly. These aren't just design flourishes, they're storytelling tools. You can feel who's bold, who's cautious, and who's growing into something more. Both of these stages have been shown in previous updates, but the designs have been quietly refined. Subtle posture changes, texture updates, and more variety in their features. It's clear the team has gone back to polish the details, even in areas they've shown before. But then we arrive at what's new, and this is where everything changes. We get our first look at the Mature Kweebec, a brand new stage to the Kweebec evolution cycle. This isn't a sprout or a scout. This is a fully realized member of Kweebec society, rooted in experience, physically stronger, and culturally more complex. These designs are amazing, so I want to give a big shout out to the concept artists and designers. Bark forms the structure of their limbs, leaf-wrapped armor plates cover their bodies, some wield curved blades shaped from hardened plant matter, others carry vine-woven shields. Every version's unique, yet unmistakably Kweebec. There's a warrior with fierce green brows and a flame-colored bloom behind their ear, a pathfinder wrapped in robes with scrolls and a flowered walking staff. One wears a layered leaf cloak, another looks like a forest monk. The range of roles here is vast. They're fighters, guardians, travelers, historians. This stage has weight, and it fills in a huge narrative and visual gap that's existed in the Kweebec cycle until now. It connects the innocence of the young with the wisdom of the old. And finally, standing off to the side is a figure we've seen before, the Tree Singer. The Mature Kweebec binds everything together, and it was also the mysterious hidden tattoo on John Hendrick's leg that we have been inching to see ever since he teased it. I'm really optimistic about this blog post. We're seeing real progress, and if we just look back to a few months ago when they showed off their new engine, this is a night and day difference. You could go as far as to say, this just looks like Hytale. It's a boring sentence, but when you think about it, it's the look and feel that we fell in love with when we first saw the trailer. Essentially, rebuilding an engine and game from the ground up is a large task, and it looks like the team has worked together to get it up and running. With the mention of playtesting both internally and externally, I'm very confident with my 2026 prediction. I expect that we're going to have a lot more to hear from the Hytale team after this blog post, so if you don't want to miss anything, make sure you subscribe and join my Hytale Discord, link in the description to chat with fellow Hytale fans. And by the way, if you've reached this far into the video, I just wanted to give a massive thank you. I've seen a lot of support and love for the channel recently, and it really means a lot to me. I love giving you guys this information about Hytale, but I really can't wait until Hytale actually comes out to give you guys the content that I truly want to make. These news videos are fun and all, but they get really repetitive and boring when every single time you are just scraping the bottom of the barrel for Hytale news. And I read your guys' comments too. I understand that some of this news just feels a little dry, but we don't have too much longer to wait until Hytale comes out, and then I'm going to give you guys the content you all are waiting for. So just one more big thank you to everyone who sticks around to the end of the videos. It really means a lot. I'll see you guys later.